teaching with a program called Digits, which was very good, but very innovative, and a lot of kids liked it, some didn't. They brought me back to the elementary. I used Digits another year, and then the parents complained that we didn't have textbooks, so they bought textbooks. So this year I stopped. This year I stopped using Digits, and I started combining the textbook with technology programs. So I had to find technology programs that I had not used before. So one thing I do know for certain is I'm not going back to 100% textbook. The kids, the immediacy of working a problem and finding it out if you're right or wrong is much better than doing a whole worksheet and coming in tomorrow and finding out you got none of them right. So definitely a combination of the textbook. So mine was combining normal student instruction with some technology and trying to differentiate the levels of the abilities. I wanted to increase individual learning and let the better ones go on faster and the weaker ones get the reinforcement that they need. What I did with my grant money is that I needed, having had junior high students, I knew that very often the students go off task, and you find that when they're supposed to be working on their technology site, they're really watching YouTube videos and various and sundry things. And they had bought for me at the junior high a program called it's a Microsoft program, and I knew its name this morning, and now I don't know its name. But anyway, it was too expensive to buy at the elementary school because the price had gone up. And I was looking for a program that would let me know what the students were on and have control over the computer, so when I wanted them to turn around and look at me, I could shut down all the computers, talk to them, give them some more instruction, and then turn it back on, and the kids were back underway. So what we bought was Google Management, and we thought we would be able not so much to control the computers, but to block out the websites they were going to that were not on task. It didn't work. I'm sorry. We couldn't block them. Every time we would block something, they'd find another site that'd go around it. So these are only 6th graders, and they were going around it. So we then began to hunt for some other programs that are in development that are designed to do this, but much less expensive than Multipoint, which is the program I had at the high school. So as the year went on, we bought a new monitor because I needed a bigger monitor to be able to see their screens, and we bought a Chrome box. We have Chrome books for our kids, and we bought a Chrome box, which just is a little box that sticks on the back of the monitor and is your newer computer, because my computer was ancient. However, the new Chrome box was not compatible with the new textbook software that they bought me. So after about a week with using the Chrome box, I realized I'm not going to be able to show the textbook pages and the worksheets and things like that that came with my textbook. So we made that a student station and went back to using my ancient computer. So in lieu of not having Digits, I experimented with different programs. We used Study Island and IXL. We used MobiMax. We used WinMath, IQR, and I tried some other trial programs on things. And basically, because the school purchased Study Island and IXL, I've settled down the rest of the year and used those two mainly. So we teach from the book. The kids are required to bring their book every day. However, so that they can take notes, so that they have a page reference number when they're working on something and they don't know what an IQR is. They have the page number and they can go back to the book if they need to for additional instruction. They do some worksheets and they do some technology. So I've tried to kind of blend the old with the new. Successes and disappointments. It just didn't work. I called the ARI people and said, what I spent my money on isn't working, and they said, okay, that's all right. There are failures in everything, and so we went on exploring new programs, which I will show you what we've found so far. I have learned a lot. I had never used OneDrive, and I had never used Google Docs, but now I have Google Docs. I can use Google Slides. I use Google classroom and put my assignments up there so that the kids, even when they're gone, they know what the assignments are. I can put the videos that I show in class off of United Streaming. I put those on my Google Classroom, and they have a reference then to go, or Khan Academy videos. Everything is on Google Classroom so that they can watch it again if they so choose. We also use iCurio to do a lot of exploring and find sites that we can tap into. Learn Zillions is a new one that I just learned from a cohort, from another teacher, and that one is, I can't wait to tap into that one more. The 3 programs that we have found that will do what Multipoint did are still in development. And so we are right now doing a test, a 6 weeks test of GoGuardian. And it seems to work really well. It works very much like the Multipoint did that I had at the high school. These are 2 other programs that we intend to try out. I'll tell you an interesting tidbit. The GoGuardian, this is a very smart, unmotivated 6th grade. And the odd thing was they're not very far apart in ability. Usually has some really, really highs and some really, really lows. We got a nice middle group here. But boy, are they street savvy. And so we had just finished a month's episode of people sabotaging other people's accounts. And then we had a hacker get into our teacher accounts and shut down my Study Island account and start sending us emails saying, haha, you can't stop me. So we finally got GoGuardian. We had GoGuardian on, we put it on around noon, and we didn't tell the kids about it, but we started using it. And we're sitting at our there's 3 of us in the class calling each other going, can you see what so-and-so's on? We could see all 51 of their screens, and we could see that kids were off task and using things, so we're giggling to each other quietly over the phone, and they figured out within 45 minutes, they had found out what program we are, and they are Googling how to hack GoGuardian, how to beat GoGuardian. They are within 45 minutes trying to go around the program we had installed around noon. So this thesis group is heavy into it. However, at the moment, GoGuardian has gotten them stopped. Somewhat. They have ways around it, but we're learning to catch them anyway. If you have a student who creates a new account and taps in to the computers, and so you don't see their screen because they're not in their own name, then if you see somebody whose name you don't see, but you see them working on the computer, you know that they've tried to go around. So we're working as fast as we can to keep up with the kids who are smarter than we are when it comes to hacking computers. But this is working well, and what we can see is a timeline that even if I tend to be out of my seat and walking around the room as much as I can to go to them because they have a problem and I need to get to them. I carry a Chromebook with me, so I can flip through and see the screens on the other side of the room, or I can see a timeline. After they all leave, I can see a timeline, and I can find out exactly where they went during their hour and 5 minutes in my classroom. Or in live action, what I see is the students that have a computer open, I can see the website that they're on, right? So but we've been in it now maybe a week or more. Just knowing that we're going to see their screens, it took them 4 or 5 days to understand we had one little girl, we brought her up, we said, did you go to any site you shouldn't go to? 4 different ways we asked her the question, did you go to any site other than the one you were told to go? No, ma'am, I didn't. So we just brought up her timeline and we showed, she had typed in bare-chested sites of, who's the actor that died? Paul Walker? Paul Walker. She had typed in bare shirted, so she was looking at Paul Walker in bare shirts. And we showed her on the timeline exactly what she was doing, and we can take a screenshot of that timeline. It is embedded in the timeline, so if her parents come in and we want to show them where she's been, we can pop up the timeline and the day. All I have to do is record the date and the time, and it's embedded for us, and we can bring it up and show Mom and Dad exactly where she spent her math time and why she's behind on her assignments. So we have giggled and laughed. It's been a wonderful spring experience to play with these blocking sites. The second thing I got a chance to do, and I'm 31 seconds, is to deal with Megan. Megan, on the 4th day of school, went to the hospital with pneumonia, and from there they found out that she had childhood leukemia. And she has been in chemo since October, and she has had incredible reactions to the chemo and gets sick and is hospitalized and is back. And I was trying to homeschool her as often as she was home, and so I'll just finish up on Megan. I couldn't keep her engaged in the classroom. She felt so bad. She couldn't. Now, when she feels well enough, she can watch the classroom, what's happening, listen to the lectures. It's not perfect, but she feels connected to she goes to lunch with the kids. She goes to recess with the kids. She keeps in touch with her friends. And when I go in to see her 2 nights a week, she has an idea what we're talking about. Next fall, she's going to go on to the 7th grade, and she's going to be way behind, but I'm going to keep tutoring her. And what we hope is we know she will get illnesses and have to be out. So when she's only out for 3 days or a week, and we can keep her key classes, we can keep the robot in her key classes, that we can keep her up and catch her up. So I think the robot, once we learn to use it, it's not hard at all to do. The kids help. It's easy, lightweight, easy to carry, and it's been a really wonderful success. Are there any questions?